Alright guys, test 1 is tomorrow, 9/13/18. So first we're going to go through number 1. We're going to go through this in order. So it says find the line of best fit from the data shown below, round to the nearest hundredth. Guys, please remember, 100 has 2 zeros. That means you're going to have 2 numbers after the decimal. Okay, so remember, first we're going to start in our calculator, and you're going to go to stat. So I'll show you stat and press enter, and we're going to type in the data. Remember, L1 equals x and L2 equals y. So I'm going to type in all my x's: 13, 11, 0.6, 8, 4, 6.5, 8, 0, 1, 12. So there's all my x's, and then I'm going to type all my y's. Now, since this is a scatter plot, guys, you really have to type every single point. Also, always make sure they line up at the bottom, because if they don't, that means you missed something. Okay, so after this, we're looking for linear regression. So remember, when you hit stat again, stat, we're calculating the equation, and we're looking for linear regression, lin reg. So 4, and you press enter, 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 and it pops up. Okay, so remember we said round to the nearest hundredth place, which is 2 numbers. So we're going to have y equals, it says a, which is our a is negative 1.555. So 5, and then that second 5 is going to turn into a 6 because that 5 makes it go up. Okay, after a comes x, and then we add our b. So our b is 19.65. Hundredth place means 2 numbers after the decimal. So after the decimal we have 2 numbers, after the decimal we have 2 numbers. Okay, now it asks me to predict. It says to predict the approximate y value for an x value of 5. So we can type this equation in our calculator. So I have negative 1.56x plus 19.65, and I'm going to go to my table. I'm looking for x is 5, what's y? So this will be 11.85. So again, I'll show you. So when x is 5, y is 11.85. Right? Okay, let's look at number 3. Explain how you could make each of the following trend lines better fit the data. So what I'm wanting is I'm wanting the solid line to be through the center of the data here. So if you notice, the big difference is I need it to be steeper. Okay, so your slope is what affects the steepness, and we want it to increase because we want it to be steeper. So increase the slope. Okay, here, if you notice, the slopes are pretty similar. Okay, that slope is very similar to this one, so they're pretty much parallel, which means I'm not changing the slope because parallel means same slope. This, I just need to shift it down. So I'm shifting, I'm decreasing the y-intercept. Alright? Okay, the big thing to notice here, it says solve by graphing. You will have to solve at least one on the test by graphing. Okay, so I want you to notice that this equation is already y equals, which means it is ready to graph. So we're going to plot our y-intercept first. Remember, your y-intercept is the number without the x when y is by itself. So that's my negative 2. Remember, y to the sky. Okay, and then my slope is negative 1/2. Okay, so negative 1/2 means I'm going to go down because it's negative and right 2. Okay, sorry about that. I had somebody coming in. So we have our slope is negative 1/2, so we're going to go down 1, right 2. Down 1, right 2. Down 1, right 2. Now remember, you can also always do the opposite. I can go up 1, left 2. See how it works? Up 1, left 2. So from here I can go up 1, left 2. and we're going to draw our line. Okay, so now I need to get that other equation ready to graph, which means I need y to be by itself. So it's not ready, so we're going to take it over here, x minus 3y equals -9. Okay, and my goal is to get y by itself. Guys, this is standard form because it's our x, then our y equals a number. So you're always going to add or subtract your x. So this is a positive x, which means I'm going to subtract x from both sides. Okay, x minus x is 0. And I'm going to bring my -3y equals -9 minus x down. And lastly, you always divide by what's in front of y. So I have a -3 in front of y, so I'm going to divide everything by -3. That gives me 1y equals -9 divided by -3 is +3. Two negatives again makes positive. Now, this is technically 1x, so it's the same as saying 1/3 x. And now I can graph it because y is by itself. So again, remember, your y-intercept is the number without x. So I'm going to plot a point at 3. Okay, and my slope is +1/3. So +1/3 means I'm going to rise 1, run 3, and I should have a positive slope. Just like this is a -1/2, and if you look, it's going down from left to right, so that shows it's negative. So now we're going to go up 1, 1, 2, 3, up 1, 1, 2, 3. Okay, you can also go down 1, backwards 3. Down 1, backwards 1, 2, 3. So now we see where they touch. And that is your solution, where the two lines touch. So this is my solution. So my solution is -6, +1. -6, +1. Now, since I have one solution and it stands alone, it is consistent and independent because I have one solution, okay? So let's look at number 5. Same thing. We have one equation that's ready to go, okay? My y-intercept is my number by itself, which is -5. Remember, you always start there. It's your starting point. And my slope is -4. Okay, remember, anytime you're given a slope that's a whole number, you always put a 1 underneath. Okay, and it's negative, so we're going to go down and right 1. So down 1, 2, 3, 4, right 1. Now, I don't really have any more space to keep going, so I'm going to do the opposite and go up 4, left 1. Up 1, 2, 3, 4, left 1. Okay, so there is my line that was ready to graph. So now I still have a line that's not ready to graph. Okay, so we have to get y by itself again. 3x minus 2y equals -12. Remember, add or subtract our x, so we're going to subtract 3x, because that's what cancels it. Minus 3x. Okay, that goes away. I'm left with -2y equals -12 minus 3x. Divide by what's in front of y is our second step. And we're left with y equals +6. If you don't know that, you can always plug in your calculator. 2 negatives makes a +3/2x. So now we have our y-intercept, which is our number by itself, and our slope, which is 3/2, and it's positive, so we're going to rise 3, run right 2. Now, I don't have any more room to keep going, so I'm going to do the opposite and go down 3, backwards 2. So on and so forth. We see where they touch. So this is my solution, which is -2, +3. Okay, and again, there's one solution that stands alone, so it's consistent and independent. Okay. So let's look at number 6 and 7. Now we're doing substitution. So remember, the key to substitution, just like the key to graphing, was getting both of your equations equal to y. The key to substitution is getting your loaner variable. Okay. So we're substitution, which means we need a loaner variable. A lone variable. If you look here, we don't have a lone variable. Remember, if you cut them in half with the equal sign, we should have a letter all by itself like we do here. So this would be our lone variable for the next one. So we don't have that, but we do have a variable that's easy to get alone, because I can do minus 6y, and now that x is all by itself. So remember, we divide it. The one you got the loaner variable from goes on the right, the original, and the other one on the left. If you don't remember this, that's fine. Just remember that you have your loaner variable, and that's what you're replacing. So we're replacing x with 32 minus 6y. So instead I'm going to have 2, 32 minus 6y plus 3y equals 10. Remember, we only replaced the x, so I should still have the 2 in front, and the plus 3y equals 10 at the end. So now we're going to solve for y, because we only have y's left. So 2 times 32 is 64. 2 times negative 6 is negative 12y. Bring down that plus 3y equals 10. Okay, so I'm going to subtract, actually first we'll add these together. So negative 12y plus 3 is negative 9y, and bring down your 64 equals 10. So now we're going to subtract 64 from both sides. So 10 minus 64 is negative 9y equals negative 54. And now I'm going to divide both sides by negative 9, which gives me y equals 6. Sorry, I'm like shoving it all in there. So remember, this is negative 9 divided by negative 9y divided by negative 9, negative 54 divided by negative 9, because we had to get rid of that y, that negative 9 in front of the y. So I have y equals 6. Now I can come and plug that in here. So remember, we have an x comma y as our solution. So y is 6. Okay, and I'm going to replace y with 6 now. So instead of y, I'm going to put x plus 6 times 6 equals 32. Well, 6 times 6 is 36, so I have x plus 36 equals 32 minus 36 minus 36. X equals 32 minus 36, which is negative 4. Okay, so our answer should be negative 4 comma 6. So I can always come here and check it. So 2, and instead of typing x, I'm going to type negative 4 plus 3, and instead of y, I'm going to type 6. And when I press enter, it should equal 10, which it does. So it's right so far. But always check the second equation too. So I have negative 4 plus 6. Instead of y, I'm typing 6. Press enter, it should equal 32, and it does. Therefore, this is our correct answer. Okay, so let's try the other one. The nice thing is it's a little bit of less work. Okay, so remember, on the right is our loaner variable equation. And on the left is the other equation. So x equals all of this. So we're going to replace x with all of that. So I have 4 times 2y minus 3 plus 3y equals 21. Remember, I'm only replacing the x. So I still have the 4 and I still have everything else. So distribute gives me 8y minus 12. Bring down everything else. Plus 3y equals 21. Combine like terms, 8y plus 3y, 11y minus 12 equals 21. I have to get rid of that minus 12 by adding 12 to both sides. 21 plus 12 is 33, so I have 11y. I'm going to bring it up here so y'all can see. 11y equals 33. Last step, always divide. So y equals 3. Okay, so then I can replace y with 3. So I have x equals 2 minus 3. Okay, x equals, guys, you can do this in your calculator. 2 parentheses 3 minus 3. So x equals 3 as well. So we're saying that our answer is 3 comma 3, because this is my x, this is my y. Okay, and let's double check it. So if I do 2 times 3 minus 3, which I just did, it should equal x, which is 3. And it does. So then 4 times 3 plus 3 times 3, which I got right here, 4 times x plus 3 times y equals, it should equal 21. And it does. So this is my answer. Okay, let's look at the next page. Okay, so again, it's telling me to use substitution. Okay. So we have to find our loaner variable, which is y. Okay, and here is my substitute. So that equation goes over here. And the other equation on the left. Okay, so I'm replacing y with my substitute. So I have 2x minus 3, 2/3 x minus 3 equals 9. Now, guys, I know y'all hate multiplying fractions, so you can use your calculator. So I'm going to bring down my 2x. So I have negative 3 times alpha y equals enter will do me a fraction, 2 over 3x, so it'll be negative 2x. And then I have negative 3 times negative 3, which will be positive 9, equals 9. Okay, what happens here? I don't even need my calculator. 2x minus 2x is 0, and I'm left with 9 equals 9, so I'm done. Because there's no more x's, there's no more y's, I can't keep going. This is true. Remember, when it's true, that means infinitely many solutions, or IMS. Okay? It also means that this is going to be consistent and dependent, because those solutions, remember, if I were to graph this, it's going to be two lines like right on top of each other. You won't even see them, so they're completely dependent on each other because they're the same thing. Okay? So that was an easy one. Okay, so one more using substitution. Again, awesome. We already have our loaner variable. We already have our substitute. So that goes on this side, y equals 2x plus 1. And then I have 4x minus 2y equals 8. So I'm replacing y with 2x plus 1. So I have 4x minus 2 times 2x plus 1 equals 8. Okay, I'm going to distribute, bring down my 4x. Negative 2 times 2x is negative 4x. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2 equals 8. Again, what happens? 4x minus 4x is 0, and I'm left with negative 2 equals 8. Now this is false, so it's no solution. Which, if I asked you what kind of system that means this is inconsistent. Okay, because there's no solution. It's never the same. Remember, consistent pretty much means the same. Okay? So let's look at number 10 and 11. So here we're doing elimination. Remember, I also call this big addition. We do this when our x's, our y's, our equal signs, and our whole numbers line up, or not whole numbers, but our numbers line up. So again, our x's, our y's, and our numbers line up. So these are perfect setup for elimination, or big addition. Okay, now 6x and 5x do not cancel each other, so there's nothing to eliminate. 8y and negative 4y do not cancel each other, so we have nothing that eliminates. So we need to make something eliminate. I personally would eliminate the y's, because I already have a negative and a positive. Because remember, an example of something that eliminates is like 3x and negative 3x. Same number, opposite sign. Okay? So I can turn that into an 8 by multiplying this whole equation by 2. So what I do on one side of the equal sign, I have to do on the other. So 2 times 5x is 10x. 2 times negative 4y is negative 8y, which is what cancels my positive 8y. So that's what I want. And then negative 26 times 2 is negative 52. And now I'm going to rewrite that top equation as well. 6x plus 8y equals 20. Now I have something that eliminates, so now I'm going to set up my big addition, like elementary math. Okay, 10x plus 6x is 16x. Negative 8y plus 8y is 0. It cancels. Equals, what's negative 52 plus 20? It's negative 32. Okay, now my goal is to solve for x. So we're going to divide both sides by 16. That cancels and we get x equals negative 2. Yep. Okay, so now I have half of my answer. Now remember, the second step here is the same as our second step from substitution. We're going to pick, now exactly this time, we get to pick either equation. So I'm just going to pick the first one because we didn't mess with it. So I have 6x plus 8y equals 20. And I know x equals negative 2, so 6 times negative 2 plus 8y equals 20. Okay, 6 times negative 2 is negative 12. Plus 8y equals 20. So I don't know if y'all remember, but I did show y'all how to do these in the calculator. So you can plug this side in y1, this side in y2, and see where they match. So I have negative 12 plus 8. Now I can't type y, so I'll type x. And the other side of the thing will be 20. And I'm looking for where y1 and y2 match, so it's 4. See, 20, 20, so the answer is 4. So y equals 4. Now, you also could have just continued solving this, okay? And the way you would have done that is plus 12, plus 12. That gives you 8y equals 32. Divide by 8, divide by 8, y equals 4. So either way it works. If you want to do that part in the calculator, you can do that part in the calculator. If you want to do it by hand, that's perfect too. Now, again, though, we should check our work. We should always check our work. So 6 times x, which is negative 2, plus 8 times y, which is 4, should equal 20, and it does. 5 times negative 2 minus 4 times 4 should equal negative 26, and it does. So perfect. That is my final answer. Okay. Now, looking at number 11, nothing eliminates super easy. Like, you, I mean, I guess technically, yeah. So technically you can multiply this 2 by a negative 2 to make it negative 4. Yes, this is already negative, but 3 doesn't multiply by any one number to become 8. Now, you could still cancel the y's, and that's totally fine. I'm going to cancel the x's by multiplying this bottom equation by negative 2 to turn that into a negative 4. So, negative 2 times 2x is negative 4x. Negative 2 times 8y is negative 16y. 30 times negative 2 is negative 60. Okay, and I'm going to rewrite that top equation, 4x minus 3y equals 22. I'm going to draw a line so y'all can tell where one problem ends and the other one begins. So now I have something that eliminates, and now I can do big addition. So negative 4x plus 4x is 0. Negative 16y plus negative 3y. So guys, if you struggle with negatives, now's the time to use your calculator. Negative 16 plus negative 3 should be negative 19y. And again, if you struggle, negative 60 plus 22 is negative 38. So we want to get y by itself. We're going to divide both sides by negative 19. Y equals, so again, you can do it in the calculator. Negative 38 divided by negative 19 gives you positive 2. So I have half of my answer. So again, I'm going to pick the top one. 4x minus 3y equals 22. And instead of putting y, I'm going to put 2. So I have 4x minus 3 times 2 equals 22. So again, we can do this in our calculator by typing the left side and y1, the right side and y2. So we have 4x minus 3 parentheses 2, and then we have equals 22. Second graph, I'm looking for where y1 and y2 match. So they match right here at 7. So my answer for x equals 7. So let's double check our work. Okay, 4 times 7 is x, minus 3 times 2, which is my y, should equal 22, and it does. 2 times 7 plus 8 times 2 should equal 30, and it does. So that is my answer. All right. Here. Now remember, both of those problems were consistent and independent. Okay, because there's one answer that stands alone. So this, when you only see one line, that means it's two lines right on top of each other, because we're talking about systems, and remember, systems means two lines. Okay, so when there's one line, that means the two are right on top of each other, which means C. It has infinitely many solutions. Okay, and anytime it's infinitely many solutions, it's consistent and dependent. Okay, so it's also F. Or dependent. I said independent, but meant dependent. Okay, anytime there's infinitely many solutions, it means it's consistent and dependent, because the lines are right on top of each other, so obviously they depend on each other. Here, they're parallel, they never touch, therefore there's no solution. Okay, it also means they're inconsistent, because they're never the same. Here they touch once, so yes, there is one solution. Now, if I asked you what that solution was, do not ever tell me one solution. You would tell me, what, -4, -2? Okay, and that means it's consistent and independent, because there's only one and it stands alone. It's independent. Alright, let's keep on going. Okay, let's look at number 13. This is where I feel like a lot of y'all are struggling. But don't make these hard, okay? So Miss Math is planning a family vacation. She bought 8 rolls of film and 3 batteries for $24.50. The next day, her daughter went back and bought 6 rolls of film and 2 batteries for her camera, and her bill was $18. What is the price of a roll of film? So that's what we're looking for, the price of a roll of film and the price of a camera battery. So when we define our variables, those are the two things that our variables are going to represent. So we can use X, and that's going to represent the price, I'm just going to put money sign, of film. And we can do Y, which will be the price of a battery. So let's write our equations. If she bought 8 film and 3 batteries and spent $24.50, so 8 film is X plus 3 batteries, which is Y, equals $24.50. Okay? Then the other equation, she bought 6 rolls of film and 2 batteries, so 6 film plus 2 batteries, and she spent $18. Right, so there's our equations. Now, it does not tell me how to solve these. I can solve them any which way. If I wanted to solve both of them for Y and plug it in my calculator, I could do that. But I'm going to do elimination, because my X's line up, my Y's line up, my totals line up. So I'm going to eliminate Y's because they're smaller numbers. So I'm going to turn this one, multiply by -2, okay, because that will turn that into a -6. And I'm going to multiply this one by +3, because that'll turn that into a +6. So -2 times 8x is -16x. -2 times 3y is -6y. And then 2450 times -2 is -49. Okay? Now, 3 times 6x is 18, what am I writing? 18x. Okay? 3 times 2y is +6y. And 3 times 18 is 54. So now I can do my big addition. So -16x plus 18x is 2x. -6y plus 6y cancels. And -49 plus 54 is 5. Okay, so I'm going to solve for x, divide both sides by 2, and I get x equals 2.5. Now, is it okay to get a decimal? Yes, because I'm talking about money. So this is like the same thing as like 250. Okay? So now we're going to plug that into either equation. I'm going to choose the bottom equation just because it has smaller numbers. So I have 6x plus 2y equals 18. Okay, and instead of x, I'm going to plug 250 plus 2y equals 18. So 6 times 250 is $15 plus 2y equals 18. So I'll minus the 15. I get 2y equals 3. Divide those sides by 2. Y equals 150. Or 1.5, but we're talking about money, so it's 150. Now, my real world meaning is putting that into words. What does X represent? So, film costs $250 each, and batteries cost $1.50 each. Now again, should you check your work? Yes. Always, always, always check your work. Okay, let's look at number 14. Okay, it says Mark has 40 less than triple the number of golf balls that Charlie owns. Together they have 184 golf balls. How many golf balls do the boys own? So again, when we define our variables, we're trying to figure out how many golf balls the boys own. So X, or you could use any number, or letter, sorry, could be the amount that Charlie owns, so number of golf balls for Charlie. And Y can be the number of golf balls for Mark, because those are our two people. Okay, so I'm going to start with the easier one. Together they have 184 golf balls. So the amount that Charlie has plus the amount that Mark has is 184. Amount Charlie has plus the amount Mark has is 184. Now, Mark has, so Mark has, this is Y. Has is the same thing as equals, or is, has, is, those are equal. 40 less, that actually means minus 40. Triple the number Charlie has, so that means 3 times Charlie's amount, which is X, sorry. So I always flip these. Y equals 3x minus 40. Now here I feel like substitution is my best bet because I already have a loaner variable. Now I could also do the calculator, which would be super easy, because can I get y by itself really easy? Yeah, I could subtract x from both sides and now y is by itself. So I'm actually going to do the calculator. I'm going to come here, I'm going to type in both of my equations. I have 184 minus x, and then I have 3x minus 40. Okay, second graph. I'm going to look at my table, and I'm looking for where they match. So obviously they don't match here. Numbers are getting closer and closer. So here, 128. So this is telling me that x is 56, because in my table this is what I see. I see that x is 56, y is 128, y2 is 128. This is the only spot they match. And what that means is x comma y is my answer. So my answer is x equals 56 and y equals 128. Because guys, this is like two tables put together. This really means like this is Mark's table, or one table, 5, 128, and then another table, 5, 128. They both have it. That means that is where they touch. Okay, so x, so Charlie has 56 golf balls and Mark has 128 golf balls. Okay. So remember, anytime y1 and y2 match, the x, y is your answer when you're looking for a solution. Okay? Now, the difference, though, is like on these, when we're solving, when we're looking here, when we do the y1, y2, it's always just where they match, the x is your answer. Okay? So last page, number 15. At a professional basketball game, the turnstiles, guys, are those things you walk through and they flip and they count how many people come in, show that 17,406 people paid admission. The total cash received for tickets was $133,372. Without actually counting the ticket stubs, find out how many paid for reserved seats, which were $10 each, and how many paid general admission for $6 each. So those are the only two options. And it wants us to know how many reserved seats and how many general seats. So X can be number of reserved seats, and Y can be number of general seats, general admission seats. So it says that they sold a total of 17,406. So the number of tickets for reserved and the number of tickets for general admission was a total of 17,406. Now the number, so now we're going to look at money, because we have money, and we have money. Remember, money goes with money goes with money. So $10 per reserve seat plus $6 per general admission seat equals a total of $133,372. So how do you want to solve this? You could do elimination. You could do substitution by getting y by itself or x by itself, or we could solve them both for y and do it in the calculator. I am going to do elimination, okay, and I'm going to get rid of y's. So I'm going to make this is a positive 6, so I need this to be a negative 6. So I'm going to multiply this whole top equation, what I do on one side I have to do on the other, by negative 6. Negative 6x gives me negative 6x minus 6y equals, okay, that's a big number, 17406 times negative 6, so 104,436. I'm going to rewrite the bottom equation. 10x plus 6y equals 133,372. Now, I kind of like that we use this method on this one because it's going to make these numbers all smaller, okay, because that negative and the positives. So, big addition, okay, negative 6x plus 10x is 4x, negative 6y plus 6y is 0, and I'm going to use my calculator for this. Negative 104,436 plus 133,372, okay, is okay, 28,936. So divide both sides by 4. X equals, so let's divide that by 4, 7,234. So what does that mean? That means we sold 7,234 reserved seats. Okay, now we still have to find out general admission. So the easiest one to use is going to be this top one because it's got smaller numbers. So let's use that to plug in. So x plus y equals 17406. I'm going to plug in this for x, so 7,034 plus y equals 17406. Subtract 7,234 from both sides, and I get y equals 17406 minus 7234. 10,172. So real world meaning, 7,234 reserved seats sold if I can spell, and 10,172 general admission seats sold. right. Almost done, guys. Get it all in one shot. Okay. So, when the function y equals negative 2/5 x minus 2 is added to the graph shown, which order appears the solution to the system? Well, this one's already graphed, but I need to graph this one. So remember, y is by itself, so we can graph it right away. The number by itself is my y-intercept. So I'm going to put a point at negative 2. And my slope is negative 2/5, which means I'm going to go down and right. Down 2, right 1, 2, 3. Yeah, down 1, 2, right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or I can go up 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it touches somewhere over here, but it's not a pretty point. I don't know. But here it touches at negative 5, 0. So there's my answer. Sorry, you couldn't see everything I was writing. So I just wrote that that's the y-intercept and then showed you what to do with your slope. Okay, what kind of correlation is this? Well, if I drew a trend line, it's going down from left to right, so it's negative. Drawing another trend line, it's kind of crappy, but it still goes down from left to right, so it's negative. Here, there's no trend at all, so it's no correlation. And here it's going up from left to right, so it's positive. Last but not least, number 21, it says underline the independent variable and circle the dependent variable. So the place of a jogger and the steepness of a hill. Does the pace of a jogger depend on the steepness of the hill, or does the hill change depending on the pace of the jogger? So the pace of the jogger is dependent, because if the hill's really steep, the pace has to go, it's going to be slow down. Okay, if the hill's not very steep, the pace will go up. Number of hours you study versus how fast you take a test. So does the number of hours you study depend on how fast you take a test, or does how fast you take a test depend on the number of hours studied? So this depends on this. If you study a lot, you'll go faster on your test. Alright guys, that's it. If you have questions tomorrow, bring them to me. I will help you, but you have to come right to class and ask them before the test starts. Good luck.